Fight for Justice is brought to you by the Kia Store of Anniston and Rainbow City.
Welcome tonight to another edition of Fight for Justice. As you know, we have this show weekly. It's broadcast 5 or 6 times during the week, 9:30 on Wednesday nights, 6:30 on Sunday, and other times it's scheduled. So we're glad to welcome you to another edition tonight. We've got 2 guests tonight. We're going to depart from our normal procedure, and I would use the word procedure. We have a guest, Craig Miller, who's one of our sponsors, and he is going to talk about a little bit about what he does and what he has to offer. And the second and third segments, we have Judge Laura Phillips, who is does the domestic relations court here, and we're going to tell you some interesting things about her that you don't know. We're going to show you some pictures. They're good pictures that you've never seen before with this judge. So we've made them. We're ready to get started. So Craig, welcome to our show. It's good to have you here.
Well, thank you, Arthur. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Now, he's never done this before, so he's a little bit nervous, I think. Are you? Are you okay?
I'm fine, Arthur. Thank you, though.
Okay. Tell our audience what you do, what kind of work you do.
Well, I'm in the, of course, the sand and gravel business now. Originally, I didn't intend to get in this business. It was kind of by accident. I was in the mining business in the beginning, and one thing led to another, and I ended up in sand and gravel approximately 27 years ago.
And you're still in a little bit of that business, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Now, tell our audience a little bit about your family. You're married, your children, and all that.
Yes, I'm married to Bridget Miller, and I have 3 children. I have 2 boys, and I have a daughter. And we live here in Anniston, and we've enjoyed being here.
Now you're one of our sponsors of the show. One of the reasons we're having you on here, and I don't mind disclosing to our audience that Craig is a very close friend. Spent a lot of time around him, so I know him quite well. Unfortunately, he knows me too well. But tell our audience where your places of business are located. Yeah,
we have one located in the D'Armondville location, which is out in the edge of Oxford and Anniston. And then we have another store on Highway 431 located in the Sachs-Anniston area. And of course, we have a complete line of landscape supplies ready to go, ready to travel for you.
So you also have a trucking side of that business too. What does that entail?
It entails getting the product to the company that needs the products, where we give them service. We give them a quality product and in a timely fashion.
Now, when we had those sinkholes recently out on I-20, didn't your company haul in the materials to fill that sinkhole?
We sure did. We hauled quite a bit of material, worked straight through the holiday, and that was the Easter weekend, and we were able to complete the project on time.
How many tons of material did you haul to fill up that sinkhole?
I think it was somewhere around 75,000 tons.
And how many truckloads would that be?
Well, Arthur, that's quite a few. I'd have to get out my calculator to check that out.
But you got it done.
We got it done, and we did what it took to get it done.
All right. Tell us about the kinds of products that you offer for sale.
We have a full landscape supply business where we take care of everything from the soil, from the ground up, gravel for your yard. We have pine straw, we have ground covers, we have many different new products that are coming out as well, but we have the traditional products along with some of the finest soils you'll ever see. We have our Miller Super Soil. We have people coming in every day sharing with us what it's done to their gardens, to their flower beds, and even their yards. They put it on, and they're amazed at how beautiful the product is.
Tell us what Miller Super Soil is.
It's a special product. It's composed of mushroom compost, special leaf mold that's composted, along with some chicken litter that's totally composted. and pine bark, and it's a little bit of sand to kind of mix it up a little bit.
And so this is a rich soil for plants, vegetable gardens. I know I've got it on my tomatoes, and they do really well.
It really is, and we have folks coming in sharing with us how the tomatoes are double the size of what they had been in the past. But we're excited. We're excited about the trends that are coming up in our product line. You know, technology's hit every industry, except recently it started to become mainstream even in the landscape business. So now we've come up with some interesting products.
Craig, you mentioned some new products, and you brought one with you today. Can you pull that up and show our audience what this is?
Sure. This is a product, a new product that was developed for years, over the years in the athletic field industry. And now it's available for your yard. Areas, trouble spots that you have where your dogs tear up the yard, or shady areas you've been unable to get grass to grow. And we find in this to be an exciting new product.
I noticed the tag says it's called Ultimate Grass. But what's the life expectancy of that product?
We have an 8-year non-prorated warranty on this product that carries. And the life expectancy on this product is 20 to 25 years.
And you told me earlier that it has a 1% grade, where it degrades 1% a year.
That's right.
So after 10 years, you still got 90% of the product that shows well and looks good.
That's right. And not only that, 1%, when you think about it over a period of 10 years, it's hardly, the naked eye can't even tell that type of breakdown. But also this grass, one unique feature about this grass is that moisture, the permeability of this product allows the moisture to move freely straight through the product. So if you have pets that are excreting on it and so forth, it's easy to keep clean, just like regular grass is even better. No weeds, think about it, no weeds to deal with. It has a built-in barrier within it, weed barrier. And so you're not dealing with fertilizers, you're not dealing with cutting the lawn, the lawnmower, or even weed eating as far as that goes.
Show us the back of that product.
Sure. And as you can see back here, it's hard to see it on the camera, but this product has micro holes all through it that gives it its unique characteristics of permeability.
So you have that in your own yard?
I do, and you'd be surprised at how many people want to know what type variety of grass this is, but essentially it's artificial.
Wasn't there an incident recently when you were putting that down that somebody who worked for you came up and tried to water the grass?
They did. They even tried to water the grass. We'll be all right as long as somebody doesn't try to cut our grass. That would be a problem.
But it looks like a great product.
It is.
Any other unusual products that you're going to have out there? We got about 40 seconds left.
We do. We have the new pine straw. It's an artificial pine straw as well. Of course, we carry the traditional pine straws, but we have a pine straw that's 100% synthetic. The life expectancy on that is 10 years with a color degradation of even less than 1%.
Okay, Craig, thank you very much for coming on tonight and sharing this a little bit about Miller Sand and Gravel. We've enjoyed having you on and sharing this, what you do with the company, and I know I've bought many of your products and they're great. In a couple of minutes, we'll be back for the second segment. Thank you. Hey, welcome to the second segment of our show tonight, Fight for Justice. We try to bring you interesting guests and we try to bring you legal topics that you might be interested in knowing. Tonight, our second guest is Judge Laura Phillips, who is a district court judge in Calhoun County, has been on the bench for a number of years. She handles primarily, well, I guess just about all domestic cases and juvenile cases. And it's a tough job because you, as we'll go into tonight, having to decide what to do, how to allocate money, property, child custody issues, support issues, things like that. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. So let me welcome to the show Judge Laura Phillips, who I've known for a long time. And I'm going to ask her, first of all, to tell you a few things about her career. And then I've got some interesting photographs to show you about some of the wild things she has done. Not too wild, but things that you might not do, but she's got a spirit of adventure that'll surprise you. So Judge Phillips, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate it.
Did you like that introduction?
I did. Kind of scared me a little, actually.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and where you went to school and how long, what kind of, jobs you've had before you got on the bench.
I grew up here in Calhoun County, and I'm from Weaver. Went to high school at Weaver. Went to Jack State. I'm a Jack State alumni, and went to school at Birmingham School of Law. I went at night, and during the day I worked for the district attorney's office. I was a victim service officer, and when I got through with the law school, I took the bar, and Bob Fields hired me as an assistant DA. And I worked for the as an assistant DA for 15 years. And at that time, I was, in 1994, I was appointed district judge by Governor Bob Riley at that time.
Let's go back to your earlier career at the DA's office. I don't know whether you knew that, but I used to do that too.
I did.
And I'm DA before you got there. I had some interesting cases. And what kind of cases did you handle when you were in the DA's office?
I was, at one time I was the only female. I handled mostly child sexual abuse cases, child abuse cases, domestic violence, and helped try capital murder cases and murder cases.
Well, you had a pretty good variety of stuff.
I did. I really enjoyed it. It started my public service. I've been public service for 25 years now. And 25 years in the judicial system. Was all your career working for Bob Field? No, Bob retired, and Joe Hubbard became the district attorney, and I worked for him for the majority of my time there. And it was under his mentorship, and he was an amazing man, and he was actually the one who gave me my passion for public service.
I don't know if you knew this, but I worked for Bob Field for a little while.
Did you?
Yeah, back before you came on the scene. And then we all end up doing something later. But it's great experience trying cases. Great, it really is. If you're a young lawyer, you want to try to do that part-time or something, because you get to try a lot of cases. And the investigators for the police departments do all the investigation, most of it, so it makes it a little easier than just starting from scratch.
It does.
And we didn't lose too many cases. I know you didn't either.
No, I didn't. I think I lost 3 in my career.
Yeah,
but we're supposed to win, so that's, it's kind of expected.
And the reason is that most people are charged with crimes are probably guilty. Occasionally there are some that aren't.
That's true.
And when that happens, I'm sure you felt like I do. If you don't think a guy's guilty, you're not going to pursue it.
I'm not going to pursue it. That's exactly right.
So we do make that decision sometimes. I promised the audience earlier that I had some pictures about some things you did. So if you would put the first photograph up there, Judge Phillips is a gator hunter, if you can believe that. This is she and her sister. I don't know where this was taken, but in Louisiana. Tell the audience a little bit about this photograph.
That was taken 2 years ago in Houma, Louisiana. We actually hunted with some of the actual swamp people that's on the TV show, and that was one of the gators that I killed. It was 11 foot 5 inches. We actually killed 13 that day.
How much? 13?
Yeah.
Are the hides sold for handbags and that sort of thing, or do you know?
That's it. When we get through with the hunt, we meet at the marina about 6 o'clock. We hunt all day, and then you go back to the wholesaler who buys the alligators, and they sell it for meat and take the hides and sell that to a tannery or a taxidermist.
Now, you said this was 11 feet. How much? Do you know how much it weighed?
I'm not sure. It goes by the length. They sell the hide and the meat based on the length.
Well, how do you get that thing back to shore? I know you don't put it in a boat with you.
Yes, we did. At one time, we had 13 dead alligators in the boat on basically a John boat, and me and my sister and another person was on that boat. After you shoot it, you pull it in, and you pull it in fast, because as soon as you shoot that alligator and he's dead, he starts taking on water. So you pull him in as fast as you can.
So he gets heavy.
He gets, yes.
Was there anything that worried you or made you have any fear when you were doing this?
Well, the first time I pulled up an alligator, you pull him up to the surface, and he growled at me, and I had no idea that alligators growl. And that it is quite formidable to look at an alligator in the eyes and then fight him to a position where somebody else can shoot him.
Well, that's an interesting. How'd you get the idea of going gator hunting?
I like the show, and I love adventure, and I got the opportunity to go to Houma, Louisiana, and I couldn't resist it.
By the way, our prior guest who just was on here, Craig Miller, his wife Bridget goes gator hunting in South Louisiana, so we should have her on here with y'all and talk about the stories.
I hope to go with her one day.
Okay, we can probably arrange that, can't we, Craig? Let me show you the second picture, if you'll put that up there. Another thing that Judge Phillips has done that's quite amazing. Now tell us what you're doing here.
That's actually my daughter. We went hang gliding in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we went up to about 2,200 feet. They released the hang glider, and you're actually free falling on the hang glider, and you actually land the hang glider. You're with a professional pilot, and it's an amazing view. It's very peaceful. It was an amazing experience.
So who actually landed it? Your daughter or?
No, the pilot actually lands it.
Okay. Was that rough?
No, actually it's amazingly it was a very soft landing.
Okay, I see the cameraman, he's wincing over there like, my goodness, I don't think I want to try that. What was the danger in doing that?
Well, you were told before you get on the hang glider that it's not FAA approved and there is no insurance for such activities. So you sign about 10 releases before you get on it.
Did you read the releases?
No, I have to say I did not.
All right, well that's quite a, how did you get the hang to it? Go hang gliding?
Actually it was on my daughter's bucket list. She's 12 and we're both love adventure and any kind that's high adrenaline.
All right, well that's the end of this segment. I hope you enjoyed that trip to the sidelines of what she does. And in the next segment, we'll get back to the law for a change and talk about what she does in her professional life. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to our third and final segment of Fight for Justice. I'm Arthur Fite, and with me is District Court Judge Laura Phillips, who's been on the bench for a number of years. And if you saw our second segment, you saw her catching alligators, hang gliding, the things she does to get away from the work she's got. This segment, we want to talk a little bit about her work, which can be pretty difficult for anybody who has to decide. And let's talk about that. You handle divorces, which involve child custody issues, property issues, alimony issues. Just how tough is that to do that? It can be stressful at times, especially when you deal with, you think about affecting a child's life, who's going to be their major influence, and things of that nature. It's some of the most important things to people that come in your courtroom. So it's definitely has that amount of stress and pressure. And you want to try to get it right.
Definitely. For
the child's sake, if for nobody else's. Tell our audience a little bit about what factors that you look at and you're required by law to look at in deciding who's going to get primary custody and who's going to get visitation.
Alabama is a state that you start out with considering joint custody, and the judge is charged with looking at the bond of the child between the two parents, who's been the primary caregiver during the period of time that the couple was together, who has the best parenting skills, maybe who has been the person that took them to the doctor, who got involved in the education. The gender of the child can be considered, as well as the proximity of the location of the two parents, and if they're in the same school district, and how well they get along and how well they can co-parent the child together also is considered.
In most of those kind of cases, have you found it relatively easy to make that decision? It's so overwhelming on one party's side that it hadn't been difficult to do it, and you've got cases that are so close that it's really a nightmare for you to decide. Am I right about that?
That is correct. You have some cases that comes in and it's obvious based on what you see in the testimony, the parent that the weight actually on the evidence is definitely on their side. But then you have cases that comes in where both parents have been involved a lot with the child and who have very bonded with that child, and it's very difficult. You think about taking a child out of the environment that they've been in and separating the two primary caregivers. It's stressful for the parent, stressful for the child, and certainly we feel that stress and tension in the courtroom.
All right, we talked about child custody issues. Let's talk a little bit about other issues in a divorce case. There's always the question of who gets what property, who has to pay what debts. But the most contentious issue sometimes can be who gets alimony. What are the things you consider or have to consider when you decide whether there should be alimony awarded or whether there shouldn't be?
Well, the state of Alabama has several cases that address that, and so I consider that in my consideration factors that I consider would be the fault of the marriage, the length of the marriage, who is the primary resource of income. If let's say that we're looking at a spouse that has stayed home and raised the children while the other spouse worked to support the family, that would definitely be considered. Sometimes you look at even rehabilitative alimony. Let's say that somebody has been out of the home working the whole time, whereas the other spouse may have been in the home, taking care of the home or the children, and so there might be a period of time where the spouse in the home may go back to school to make her skills more marketable or his skills more marketable. So all those things goes into consideration when you decide alimony.
So when you say use the word rehabilitative, our audience may not know what that means, but it basically means you're given it can be the man that gets that too.
Yes, that's definitely true.
Not just the woman. But you gives her a chance, or him a chance, to reestablish himself in the working environment. And he or she has to have an income while that's being done. And that's usually for a short period of time.
That's for a short period of time.
If you have a case, for example, I'll give you an easy one because I know what the answer will be, but you have a couple have been married 35 years. The woman's never worked out of the home. What are the chances odds that man's going to pay alimony for life?
Well, he's going to definitely pay alimony, and the restrictions on alimony would be either upon her remarriage or her death.
So it's likely to pay it for life unless one of those two contingencies occurs.
Until one of those factors occurs, yes.
But, so let's take the other end. Suppose a couple's only been married 3 or 4 years. Less likely to get alimony?
Less likely to get alimony, that's correct. That's definitely the length of the marriage and the position of the two spouses is definitely something that gives the most weight in the consideration of alimony.
One other thing I want to ask you about when we go to the property issues, generally what property does the court consider when they divide it? Property acquired when? By that I mean.
Well, certainly if the property is acquired prior to marriage, then that would be something that I would consider. It usually goes to the person that acquired it before the marriage started. If it's acquired during the marriage or used during the marriage, then that would be something that we try to divide up equally. You start out with an equal look at the factors, and then as you consider the length, the fault of the marriage, and things of those considerations, that's how you begin to divide up the property.
Speaking of property, I have one other question I'd like to ask you about that. But people always have familiar with the term community property state, equitable division state. What is Alabama and what is the difference?
Well, equitable division means that, and that doesn't mean 50%. People say that when there's an equitable division of property, that it automatically both sides of the equation comes up equal. And there's no such thing as a 50-50 equation that's going to come out. But that means that you try to put the two spouses in an equal position as far as the property amounts and assets.
Now, Alabama is not a community property state. California is, I think Texas is, Florida might be. What happens in a community property state? People get that confused with Alabama.
It is. It depends on the state, and usually it's by case law or by the statute. But community property basically is you start out with the equal amount and who brought the property into the marriage, and everything is considered in that situation.
It's much more likely to be 50-50.
Much more likely to be 50-50. You don't consider where the property came from. You don't consider the length of the marriage or anything of that.
Okay, but Alabama's an equitable division. So
that's an equitable division.
Other things. One last subject, and we only got about a minute left. What about contempt? Somebody doesn't obey a court order. We get calls all the time. What can I do about it? Tell us what somebody can do in that situation.
The power of the court is supported by a contempt, which is either civil or criminal. Both sides, either criminal or civil, the court can use jail time as well as money, fines, to enforce their orders, to ensure that the party follows the order of the court.
Oh, that's been great information. I appreciate you coming on, sharing that with us tonight. And if our firm can help you, call us. We'll be glad to talk to you. We appreciate Judge Phillips coming on and sharing what she has to do. It's a difficult job. I've seen it. Thanks for watching tonight, and we'll see you again in future weeks. Thanks for watching.